Hey, it's Emma Romano here, founder of the Thrive and Life Foundation, self-healing coach, and the midwife to your personal alchemy.
I am Kelly Bowen, founder of the Heaven Within Foundation, CEO of Lifestyle Finance Australia, finance expert, life and business coach.
And you are listening to Inspired Conversations,
where we talk about the things that really matter. Yes, we go there.
We share together what's exciting us, inspiring us, and having the most profound impact on our lives and our clients' lives. And we do this to elevate and inspire you.
We cover it all from life, body, love, relationships, trauma healing, addictions, business, money, and all things woo-woo.
So sit back, relax,
and get ready to be inspired and laugh the fuck out loud.
Welcome, everybody. This is Emma Romano and the beautiful and amazing
Kelly Bowen, and Em is back, and you are listening to Inspired
Conversations. I'm back. I'm back from a month's journey through the Holy Lands and the spiritual lands. I've just spent a lot of time in Egypt, Jordan, and Israel. And oh my God, it was a trip. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I really want to share with some people the epiphanies and the lessons and the downloads and the channeling that came to me and all the things. I want to tell everybody all the things like you came on the trip with me.
I want to hear all the things too. And just so our listeners know, this is the first conversation you and I have had since Em has been back, more than a couple of voice notes backwards and forwards, and you're about to hear live time as I'm hearing it live time. She started before we jumped on. I was like, we need to hit record because it was just like gold coming out. So I'm just as excited to go on this journey and hear about this trip and where you've been, what you've experienced. Like you were mentioning before about how we're so limited in our perceptions of reality, even when we think we've done the work. I want to hear more about this, Em. Tell me.
Right. Well, one of the things that really came to me, so I'm sitting in this beautiful temple. It's a temple of, now you know how people say goddess Isis?
Yes.
Not pronounced Isis.
Oh.
It is pronounced Isis.
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 Oh, like I said.
Isis. So it is. So goddess Isis is this beautiful goddess, very mother kind of nurturing, will do anything for her children, will do anything for her lover, will do anything for her people. There is no stopping her. There is no. She'll just find a different way. She's incredibly powerful. And I am sitting in the temple of Isis. And I'm sitting there and this really strange thing. Now, when I'm about to do a lot of energy work, I do this triple yawn. Like I go, it's not a normal yawn, you know, when you're tired. Mm-hmm. What I discovered was I have like this band across my head now that just gets mega itchy. Oh. And I start to scratch. And I'm like, this is happening the night before I went to the Temple of Isis. So I'm scratching. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, are there bed bugs? Have I picked up lice or something? Like, I'm going nuts. And Anthony's like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, I don't know. And I'm yawning. I'm doing these triple yawns. I'm like, I don't know. Is it a new thing? We get to the Temple of Isis. And it is like I walked through a portal of time zone.
Oh, wow.
It's like I went into a completely different reality. And I walked into the front of the temple, and everything is beautiful. And I mean, they're ruins now, but it's amazing. You can feel the energies there. So you walk in and it's like, bang, I could see how it was 7,000 years ago or 8,000 years ago. I could see the people, I could see the colors, I could see the food, I could smell the food. I was right in there. It was quite incredible. And I walked in, I went, okay, well, I've looked at my husband, Anthony, who is just beautiful. And he knows all of this is cool and amazing. And he laughs because he goes, you know what, a few years ago, he goes, I thought you were fucking nuts. He goes, now it's just normal. And God bless him, right? Because I need, when you're spiritual like this and you're going into different timelines, you need a man to hold you. He doesn't have to understand it. He just needs to support you through it. Right? So he's gone to me, babe, I'm right here for you. And I'm like, thank you. Beautiful, divine, centered masculine energy. I love that. So I'm walking around and I've got, okay, well, you've gotten me here. It's taken me 51 earth years to get here. What do you need me to know? What do you need me to share with the world? And they've just gone, thank you, Emma. Because usually people walk in there and go, now that I'm here, I need this. And what we're asking for is in a perception of a very limited mindset. So when you're asking for, I need more money, I need this, I need that, you'll only get more if you're in gratitude for what you can handle right now. So if you can't handle what you've got right now, if you're ignoring the hugs from a friend or the phone call from a friend who said, do you want to catch up for a coffee and you're too busy, or you won't let somebody buy you a coffee, or you won't let somebody give you a compliment, or you go, oh yeah, thanks, but you don't feel it, you're not in gratitude of it, you kind of fob it off because you can't handle it, you're not ready for anything more. Because if you can't look at yourself and go, I am absolutely fucking beautiful inside and out, you're not ready for more beauty because you can't handle the amount you've got already. That was the biggest freaking lesson. And I've gone, right, well, how do I help people in this? And I've gone, it's their perception of reality. And then it goes, and then I'm going to jump to yesterday. Yesterday, I went for a movie with my son, Ben. So, you know, I'm an expert in families and dynamics and relationships. I've got to tell you, just on a side note, it's very, very important when you go away and you do personal growth work, those at home are always worried that you're going to leave them behind.
True story. Gosh, this is like my 101 first lesson I ever got when I went to a big transformational room. They sent us home with instructions of how to behave when we got home for this exact reason. So I'm really curious to hear what you've got to say about this.
So whenever you're away, what I would do, I would ring the boys. I mean, I would never talk about me. I would always go into what's going on for you. How's uni? How's the girl? How's your friends? How's your mates? And I wouldn't say anything. Then they go, well, how's your trip? Don't worry about that. Good. You know, I'll send you photos, but I'm really keen about knowing what's going on for you. And then when you come home, doesn't matter if you've got 17 kids, I don't care. You go and you have time separately with each of those children. It's so important that you allow your children to know that they're in an individual, not their kids, not a collective, they're individual. It's like when people say all redheads, I don't know, are assholes. No, not all redheads. Only you might have met one redhead that was. Don't put me in that collective. So it's very important that we look at people as an individual, not as a collective. So I'm with Ben, yes, we went to the movies and he's talking about eating healthier, and he said, look, I just don't like the texture of fruit and vegetables. And I said, that's your perception of it. You pre-framed yourself that you don't like it. I said, it's like me. I don't like cake. I hate cake. I've never eaten cake in my life. I don't like it. But I can be with somebody who loves cake. Now, the cake is the same thing. The cakes taste the same. It's cooked the same. It's everything. It's my perception. I decided at a very young age, I don't like cake. That other person decided at a very early age that, yes, I do like cake. It's a perception of their reality. We can change that perception all the time. And, you know, Kellen, you and I are prime candidates for this one. I was an alcoholic. My perception of reality was I need wine to get me to cope through my evenings. I don't need that now. Now, wine is the same. Wine tastes the same. It's doing the same job. My perception of reality now has changed because I don't want it. Before I wanted it. So I've walked into this temple of the sis, and she's gone, you need to help people change their perception of themselves in this world.
Mm.
If we focus on the war, we're going to get more war. Because if you focus on the love, we get more love. But it starts with ourselves first. And it was huge. So I went on a mission. This is like my third day in Egypt. I went on a mission because the way I feel about my body now at 51, I don't think I've loved myself physically more than I have now, right? Mm-hmm. And that's at 51. Now, there are things with my body that I can't stand. I've always had cellulite. I've had cellulite from like a toddler. I've always had it. I've hated it. So I've always tried to cover it. So I would miss out on opportunities to swim, to go snorkeling, to do things. And I knew that there was we'll go snorkeling in the Mediterranean, in the Red Sea, so I think. Yeah, the Red Sea. And I was trying to think of every excuse not to do it. And I'm like, right, my perception now is, why am I focusing on 5% of my body that I don't like when 95% of my body is fucking amazing? And this is a woman, like at 44, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis and didn't know if I was going to walk at the age of 46. And at 51, I'm sitting there complaining about fucking cellulite. Are you kidding me?
Sorry.
What is that?
Yeah.
And whose perception is it? Whose perception have I caught on to and gone, I'm just going to keep that and think that cellulite's not right? I mean, and you've got to look at body figures. Only a few years ago, it was all about the skinny, skinny body. And then Kim Kardashian brings in big asses. So what's beautiful? The skinny one or the big ass? Fucking all of it. Yeah. All of it is stunning. It is all everything is so beautiful. It's how we look at it.
Nature doesn't get it wrong.
Look, God doesn't make mistakes. People make mistakes from the perceptions. It's like war. God didn't create war. Two egotistical dickheads freaking created war because their perception was war equals peace. What the fuck? It doesn't go even in the same frequency. That's why it's not working.
Yeah. It's so interesting what you're talking about with this, like this internal representation of ourselves. Gabby and I, when we were driving around looking for land, we were literally having this conversation about everything comes down to the internal representation, meaning how we see ourselves or whatever's going on internally for us, because that's what we project out. It's that universal law, as above, so below, as within, so without. Mm-hmm. And if we want to change something in the world, like when Michael Jackson sang that song, Man in the Mirror, like the change, like we are the change, like it was true. Like,
it's so true.
True. Like if we want to change our experience of reality, if we want to change how people relate, if we want to change the amount of love we're experiencing from others in terms of what we're receiving, we have to first change it within ourselves. Because if our own internal representation of how we view ourselves is not deemed worthy, lovable enough, no matter how much the internal environment would give us, it would never meet that need.
Yeah.
We would always project that back out and find ourselves in unloving, unkind situations or in lack or scarcity, depending upon whatever it is that we're in misalignment within ourselves, that we're co-creating with the universe in that frequency.
And there's one of the other messages that I got from Goddesses was this. We have to move into creating and living with energy and frequencies. And what she meant by this was this, and this is great because I'm like, no, you really have to explain this to me because I'm like, don't make me guess shit because I might get it wrong. Like explain it really crystal clear.
And sometimes they're so vague. Like when you are connecting with higher consciousness or like higher light beings, ascended masters, like is this they give it to us in very big language, and there is so much fine print and so much left to interpretation. Like, just
100%. You know, when people say, oh, if there's an angel, give me a feather. Don't give me a fucking feather. What's a feather mean? Give me text in a book, right?
Yeah.
Give me like,
fine print, please. So at least like give me as little space for my mission.
I don't want to be guessing nothing, right? So one of their things was you've got to start with all as everybody. We need to work with frequencies. And as soon as she said this, I started looking at, I've always worked with frequencies and energies, but this is what she means. If you think of, you know, people are stubborn. Oh, I'm just so stubborn. What you're really saying, instead of wearing stubbornness as a badge of fucking honor, it means your closed-mindedness. It means that you don't change. Everyone around you has to change. So it is a very low energy, low frequency way of living. So when you're living in that low frequency, because stubbornness is not healthy boundaries. Don't get that mixed up.
Inflexible thinking.
It's inflexible thinking, which means you are very closed-minded. And these are the people who cannot see the beauty within, with or without, or with around them. They're never satisfied. They're never satisfied. They're always looking for the person around, people around them to change. They're looking for something to help them, something outside of themselves to come and rescue them. So it's very low frequency. So if you think like up, so say a ladder, the bottom of the ladder is low frequency, stubbornness, closed-mindedness. It could be war, jealousy, envy. I'm fat, I'm gross, I'm shit. And the thing is, there's a bandwidth around that, and you will attract everything in that bandwidth. You'll attract bills that'll come out of nowhere. You'll attract money will leak out of your bank account. People will leave you. People will use and abuse you because you're in that frequency. You start coming up the ladders, up the rudders. Is it a rudder? It's a rudder, right?
A rudder. Rungs. A rudder's on the boat that steers the boat. Rungs.
Yeah, a run. Thanks. So we'll come up the ladder step, right? We'll come up the step and then start looking at those frequencies and energies. And you know, it's funny because since I've been back, I've been seeing a lot of my relationship sovereignty couples who come in. And that's one question I've been asking them. What can you do as an individual? What can you do to make this relationship better without that other person having to change? And straight away they go, look at things differently. Ta-da! That's it. That's all you got to do. Just look at things differently. And it's got to start with self first. I can't look at Anthony differently unless I look at myself differently. And I know when Anthony's feeling really good about himself. Do you know how I know? I look better to him. Isn't it interesting? So when he's been to the footy club and he's been training, he's lost a little bit of weight, he's feeling suave, he's feeling sexy, he looks at me and goes, baby, you are sexy as fuck. And that's when I know he feels sexy as fuck. And it's the same with us. We will look at someone and go, damn, you're looking good. It's because we feel good in that moment. So everything is a perception outside of ourselves, what's going on within ourselves. And this is what Goddess Isis said. She said, we have to start with self. Start looking at yourself differently. Sit in your lounge room and look around you and go, what is beautiful? Pick up a leaf and study it and go, this leaf was made for me to put in my hand and look at. This leaf is mine. This blade of grass is mine. You can get in the car and drive anywhere, walk anywhere, pick up a little blade of grass and go, wow, that was made for me to hold right now. The world is ours. It's all ours.
So interesting.
Okay, go on. You go.
No, I was just really absorbing what you were saying. Beauty is one of the highest frequencies you can tap into. And
Yes.
the biggest way to raise your frequency is bringing that level of appreciation to beauty. And just as I've been listening and absorbing what you've been saying about this internal representation, like what we've made something mean and our perception of it and how we project it out, there was as we know, I love my Instagram reels, but there was one in particular that I was listening to, and this is kind of like linking back, like where does this where does this limited perception come from that we then go and project? And this reel was talking about trauma, and trauma from the perspective of not the standard things that we really tend to typically identify with trauma, like abuse, rape, assault, like that, the I guess the big rocks of trauma, but they were actually talking about the smaller day-to-day things that you don't realize, where people can be like, I actually had a really good childhood. I was loved by mum and dad. They got along really fine. I don't know why I'm like this, or I don't know why I always go into doomsday thinking, or I don't know why I always like assume like the worst of someone. And they were talking about what happened within the internal representation of the child as they were developing. There was a mismatch between what they were receiving or experiencing in their external environment, and there was a disconnect between what they were making that mean as they were experiencing it and how they were interpreting things. And what happened, that became the internal gauge and compass of how they put together their world or their experience of external stimulation, which would have them be prone to anxiety, prone to shame, prone to not feeling good enough, prone to being pessimistic by nature. And that it's just so interesting that you bring this to the table from your trip, Em, because I think there's like when we're looking at changing our perception of something, we've got to go right back to where did we originally learn to create our perception. And that when we look at it from this perspective and we start exploring it this way, it's so powerful. And then when you bring in like, let's work with frequency and let's tap into beauty, it's literally rewiring and reworking that whole internal compass that was created of how to view the world. Because you can't be sitting in like that frequency, if that was the internal compass, and I am using an extreme example here, like with the anxiety and the pessimism and the shame, but if this is the internal compass, and then you bring the frequency of beauty in, and when the field of higher consciousness touches lower consciousness, the lower consciousness field will forever be transformed. And if that became a daily practice of appreciating and looking at and recognizing the beauty, that would completely rewire that internal compass.
Yeah. And, I want to explain to our listeners that you will probably never know why you do the things you do in a negative way. And I want to explain, from the age of 2 to 16, as a child, we feel solely responsible for our carers' well-being. Between 2 and 16. So my primary caregivers between 2 and 16 were actually my mother, my grandmother, my grandfather, and also my uncle up to the age of 6. So I had 4 adults who were we all lived in one house. So I had a lot of adults that I had to make sure were okay. So, I mean, like my mum could come in from work and just be really tired. And I'd be like, Mummy, oh, darling, I'm exhausted. I've got to fix her. And then what if Mummy can't be fixed? What if Mummy's just really fucking exhausted? And it's like, darling, can you just give me 10 minutes? I've got to fix her. I've got to fix her. But Mummy, look at my picture. And I love you, Mummy. Darling, can you just give me 10 minutes? Now Mummy's cross with me because I'm trying to overcompensate. Because in my little head, it's like, I've got to fix her, because if I don't fix her, I don't get connection and I don't get shelter and I don't get love. Which is not true.
No, but the little child doesn't know that.
Yeah, the little child doesn't know, because the little child, it is life or death. There's no in between. So you got to think, it's not a dramatic event. These are these little tiny things, these little tiny things. It's like, it could be you're in your favorite outfit or something and you've run out looking for mum and dad. I don't know, mum's having a shower and dad's having a shit, and you're like, Mommy, Daddy, look, yeah, I'll be there in a minute. Yeah, but look, because you're in the moment. You're 4, you're in the moment. But look at Yeah, we're coming down. We're just getting ready. Hang on. You don't love me.
Yeah.
I'm not pretty enough. Or you're in the best outfit. And dad goes, that's beautiful. Let me do your hair though. Your hair's not fixed yet. He doesn't like my outfit because my hair's not fixed. It's perception of reality.
Yeah, so fascinating. Like when we go down that rabbit hole, there's
It
just
is
so much we could unpack on this. We could do a whole show on that alone.
100%. And this is when I see people coming in with relationships. And I'm like, you're dragging your mum and dad issues into your relationship, into your marriage, or into your same-sex relationship, or whatever it is, into your relationship with your best mate, or your relationship with God, or your relationship with yourself. Leave that one behind, because it was perception of a fucking 4-year-old. You're a spoiled brat.
What?
Weren't we? We were all
Yeah.
little shits, egotistical little shits. We had to be.
As we should be at that age. It's the developmental phase. It's exactly where we're meant to be. We're just not meant to grow up like that.
And we were perfect the way we were, but get over it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, let it go, because we're holding on to memories. We're holding on to this dead feeling. You hold on to a dead feeling. You hold on to a feeling that's miserable. You fucking live in it, and you will attract everything in its bandwidth.
Yeah.
Everything. It's like you and I, Kel. So Kel and I got COVID this year.
Oh God.
And you don't catch, we are convinced you don't just catch COVID from somebody else. Otherwise, we all would have had COVID for the whole year, right? Because it was everywhere in Melbourne. We both looked at what was going on for us just before we got it. And we were both in bad, we got it at different times, but Kel was going through something and I was going through something. We were both in a low frequency.
Yeah. Immune systems were compromised.
Yep. Because we were thinking low frequency, we were doing low frequency. And the same with our friends. Well, we kind of went on this little investigation. We were ringing up everybody who had COVID. What was going on for you before?
Yeah.
What happened? What were you doing? And we know one of our friends, she was like, she's really done a 180, and she caught up with an old friend of like 4 years. I think she hadn't seen her. And she sat in a beer garden. She smoked a packet of cigarettes and she bitched about the world. And she was bitching about this person over there. And she rang me the next day. She goes, had the worst night. Like, it was great catching up. She goes, but I reverted back to my old self. I was just bitching about people and being hobbish because I feel horrible about myself. The next day, boom, she got freaking COVID because she was in a low frequency.
Yeah, same thing happened to me. And I actually...
You remember? Yes.
Yeah, I remember. I know exactly what I was doing. I was sitting at, I think it was Pontoon with one of my besties, and we'd been through a couple of bottles of champagne by that point. And we had like, where she was working at the time, she was so stressed, and there'd been a couple of work calls during that conversation, and it was like just really poor behavior from the employer. And it was like, there was a few things like I could totally, like, as much as we were having a great time, there was parts of our frequencies that totally dropped. And she had caught it from the office, and then I caught it from her, because we were literally sitting like this the whole afternoon.
Frequency, right?
Then we put poison in our body and like share glasses. Like, I don't know how, like, I literally brought it into my body.
Exactly. And it's, you know, and it's I was the same. I got it because I was in my head being a real bitch about somebody, and I caught up with them, and they're very low. It's because your environment, and this is another thing that I learned a lot about, is your environment. You are what you think. You are who you hang out with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're going to sit there and be with miserable people, you're going to be miserable. If you're going to sit there and be with people who are going to bitch and complain about people, you're going to be in a low frequency, you know. And I reckon I went to a private all-girls Catholic school, and I have an A+ in being a bitch. Because that's what we did. We sat and we judged and we bitched. And I wasn't one of the cool kids. In fact, I only had a few friends at school. I wasn't popular or anything. I was one of the girls. I was kind of oh God, I don't even know what I was at school. No one really liked me. No one knew who I was. They liked me, but they didn't want to hang out with me.
Were you
I was,
invisible?
huh?
Were you invisible?
Completely invisible. I was invisible kid. And it's quite amazing. There's another little story I want to tell you about when I met Moses in Jerusalem, in Jordan.
Yes, and I have one question for you that I really want to answer. I'm curious too, so I want to hear about this story. And before we wrap this episode up, I want to hear what it was like traveling through Muslim countries, because there is a perception.
Oh my God!
So,
Yeah.
Moses first, and then I want to hear
No,
about.
I reckon the divine masculine should be another podcast.
Okay.
So going to 3 Muslim countries. The first one was Egypt. Oh my God, I was just in love with Egypt, the whole lot of it. So we had a tour guide, Hussein, who is Muslim, and I love Hussein. So Hussein was 56, little shit. He looks about 30.
Huh?
And, he was just beautiful. Married, 3 kids, really great guy. And they all live in harmony. So he lives in Luxor. So he has Muslims, Christians, whoever, they all live together. They don't care.
Sounds like Morocco.
Yeah, as long as you treat animals right, treat each other right, and give to the unfortunate without telling anyone about it. I'm going to say that again. Give to the unfortunate without telling anyone about it. If you brag about it, you're not giving. You're still giving to yourself. And I love that. And I said to him, explain it to me. And he said, if there's just somebody in your like neighborhood who's struggling, and you might go to the local doctor and say, here's some money. Whenever that family comes in, this is going to pay for them. But you don't tell anybody who it's from. You don't tell anyone you went to the doctor. You don't tell anybody. Or you might just go to the telephone bill place and go, I'm going to pay for their phone bill for the year. And no one will know. Or you might go to the grocery shop and say, I'm going to pay for their groceries for the next month. And it's beautiful. So you do things like that. So it's not about their money, it's about their lifestyle. And this is one of the second biggest lessons I learned. We all sit here and we want more. We want more money. We want more this, more that, more luxury, more this. It's not about money. It's really, you kind of want what money can give you, which is more freedom, peace of mind. You don't want to have to worry about shit, right? Basically, you don't want to worry about stuff. So it's the lifestyle that you want. And I was saying to his son, like a lot of us are going, oh, it's quite poor here. He goes, you don't care about the poor. He goes, everybody's fed. Everybody is housed. He said, but if you look around, everybody is connected and they have a community. No one is on their own. We don't leave anybody out in the street. We have a really beautiful lifestyle. He said, we may not have your big houses like you have in Australia, and we may not have this and that and this and that. He goes, but who looks happier to you? And I literally stopped into my tracks. I went, you guys look way happier. He said, because we have a great lifestyle. He said, the women are happy, the men are happy, the kids are happy. We all laugh and smile. He goes, do you in Australia? And I went, no, we don't. And he said, but you're from a very rich country. So you tell me now, what is it really that you want? It's not money. People, we want to ask for a better lifestyle. It's huge.
And was this in Luxor, or was this a consistent thing you saw through the Arabic countries?
No, this was in Egypt.
Egypt, yeah.
So then we hit Jordan. I gotta be honest, I really had no idea what the fuck went on in Jordan. I just wanted to go to Egypt, right? And when I was booking the trip, I saw that you can go to Jerusalem and Bethlehem. And I was like, oh yeah, there's the Catholic in me. Yep, I'm definitely, and I'm in love with Mary and St. Anne and Mary Magdalene and Jesus. I love all that. And, I work with those energies a lot. So I'm like, fuck yeah. Jordan was in the middle. We get to Jordan. Oh my God, this place is amazing. It is incredible. We went to this place called Wadi Rum, and Wadi Rum is in the middle of butt-fuck nowhere in the desert, mountains, and you camp there under the stars. Is absolutely spectacular. I learned so much there, and they've got the world's oldest amphitheater there.
Mm.
And something really weird so it's an old Roman ruin, thousands of years old. So I'm standing there and they're explaining. It's literally something got taken over my body. I walk into the amphitheater. It's got people, tourists everywhere. And I just start to sing. And I start to channel.
Yeah.
Do you see that on Facebook?
Yeah, it was incredible. Your voice is phenomenal.
Thank you. And I just went for it. It was insane. And it was like I was home. And it was all frequencies. So I don't say I can sing. I just feel that I have this certain frequency in my voice that gives pure joy. Mm-hmm. And then that same day, we went to another amphitheater. And my tour people said to me, could you sing here? But could you sing longer? I went, okay. So I got up there and I sang. And Anthony didn't record it. I said, did you record it? He goes, babe, he said, I was completely swept away and enthralled and taken to another place. And so it was incredible. And that's what people, so I really don't believe it's from me. I believe it comes through me. So I love that I can do it, but I don't take credit for it.
Have you got recordings of this on your website? Like, have you singing or you channeling this frequency in the song?
Yeah, you can buy it. You can buy it on the songs. On my website, you can actually buy the frequency. You can buy it.
EmmaRomano.com. I highly recommend checking out. Her voice is phenomenal.
Yeah. Thanks, my love. So well, Jack and I do this. We recorded it because my son and I do incredible work. He does a shadow work. He pulls out from his voice. He does these things like
he grabs.
Do it. It's like and Mongolian throat singing. And it actually pulls out curses, hexes, spells, negative entities, energies.
Have you heard it? It sounds like dragon light language.
It is dragon light language, exactly what it is. Thanks, Cal. It is dragon light language. That's what we call it, dragon breath. And then I come in with that really high frequency and pour in the light. And that light is from all the goddesses. It's godlike. It's beautiful. But Jordan was amazing. Being in that Muslim country, absolutely stunning. Went mosques. Going to Israel was a whole different kettle of fish. Not so much the Muslims. It was other religions there did not feel welcome. Jerusalem, it was the part of the trip that I liked the least. It was very sad of the energy. That's where Jesus died. He got flogged and, Mary caught him, and we did that tour, and we went into one church where he was condemned, and then we went to the second church where he was flogged, he was beaten. And I fell to my knees. I actually fell to my knees and just burst into tears. Oh, I'm going to cry now because I just felt so bad for Mary, whether you believe in it or not. But you can think of a mother, it's like the Muslims, what they believe in Jesus. They don't believe in Jesus like the bloodline of God. They believe he was a prophet, where Christians believe he's the bloodline of God, right? So they believe he's one of the prophets, like Muhammad and Moses. They're all prophets, and which I think is probably more historically correct. But just to think of a mother watching your son at such an early age, in his 30s, to be beaten and hung up on a cross. And I mean, to be crucified was all about humiliation. And to be humiliated like that, I mean, and I just felt for his mother, and I felt for the women who were so terrified for their sons. And it's just so suppressed depressing. It is segregated. There's a lot of fear in Jerusalem, and you feel all of it.
There's been so much war there over ownership of it.
And it still is. There still is. So there was some tours we couldn't go on because there was a shooting. So it was like, we can't go there. We had to go here. But as soon as we got, out of Jerusalem, everything was different. Like we're going to Bethlehem, you go to Nazareth, it was beautiful. You go to Galilee, you go to the Sea of Galilee. We went on a boat and wandered around the Sea of Galilee. I freaking was dancing on the Sea of Galilee. It was amazing seeing where these beautiful miracles were performed. Whether you believe it or not, it doesn't matter. But it's a frequency, right? You got to think of a frequency, the energy and the frequency of it.
And the collective belief.
Yes, it's belief, it's hope, it's beauty, it's fun. It is something better. It's something better outside of ourselves. It's something better that we can do within. We are performing miracles every day. You should see how I make mashed potatoes. I mean, that potato is just a fucking potato. After some Emma magic, that mashed potato is fucking goddamn great. I am a queen of mashed potatoes, people. That's a queen itself, right?
I want some of this mashed potato. I grew up on mashed potato, so if you can impress me with a mashed potato, I will love you forever.
Baby, I will give you the mashed potato. I look at my children every day and go, that's my fucking miracles.
I thought you were going to say that's the result of your mashed potato.
Yeah, pretty much. There's miracles every day. Like I can keep a pot plant happy. It's a miracle. I make money. It's a miracle. I've got the most gorgeous man. It's a fucking, everything's a miracle. It's beautiful. And there is so much more. Just my biggest probably thing is stop holding your stubbornness as a fucking badge of honor. Stop holding your shame as a badge of honor. Stop holding like, it's my father's fault, or it's my mom's fault, or it's the government's fault, like a badge of honor. If you keep holding that, you're not going to fucking grow. Get rid of it. Because if Cal and I can do it, anyone can do it, by the way. We ain't no better than anyone else. Trust me. We just do the work.
We're as equally humanly flawed.
It's 100%, 100%. My loves, thank you so much for listening to this today.
This has been phenomenal. I feel like there's so much more that we're going to unpack over the next couple of episodes.
Yeah, there's so much more that I want to share. There's so much more. But yeah, we've been on here for so long and we love you. Please check us out everywhere. Cal, you tell them, where do they check us out?
So we're on not SoundCloud, we're on Spotify. I was like, the other one that starts with S. We're on Spotify, we're on iTunes, we're on YouTube if you like to have the full visual effects and you can actually watch us as well as listen to us. And we're probably somewhere else that Alan from Triple Effect has put us that we don't know that because he does all that magic. However, we are an unpaid show. So how we get views and how we get the message out there and how we share the love and how we help raise the collective frequency of Earth and raise consciousness is through your likes, shares, tags. So please share the love around. We love you and can't wait to continue this journey of unpacking Em's Egypt trip.
I love you guys. Love you, Cal. Mwah!